How many of you think of yourself as a leader? Life's lessons from a non-leader who has led. Part 3, effectiveness as a leader, leadership as a member, and qualifications for a leader. For me, this is a pet peeve, and that is that a leader always responds in a timely manner. If I hear from you by email, voicemail, message, carrier pigeon, or in your world, Twitter and the countless other things out there I don't know about, then you deserve to receive my reply in a timely manner. I've always had a 24-hour rule. If I hear from someone, I do my best to get back to them within 24 hours. I'm not always successful, but it's my goal. Even if I'm not ready to provide them with an answer, I let them know I got their message, am considering it, and will get back to them as soon as I'm comfortable with my response. Since I expect the same from those I communicate with, they deserve that attention too. Nothing bugs me more than to not know if someone got my message and whether they will, if ever, get back to me. If I write you looking for something in return, and you don't get back to me in a timely manner, say within a week, you will hear from me again under the guise of, I just wanted to make sure you got my message. If I still don't hear from you, it will forever taint what I think of you as a leader. It's not that hard to respond in a timely way to those you lead. It's an expectation, so before taking on a leadership role, you must accept this responsibility. A good leader always is prepared. Never go to a meeting or anything else where you are seen as a leader unless you are prepared. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. It just means that you need to know all you know about the issues and that it's easy to see that you are doing your best to be prepared for whatever comes up. I believe I became president of NATA because I went to my first finance committee meeting as a member of that committee with a 4-inch spiral notebook filled with color-coded tabs. It wasn't that those tabs really meant anything. It meant to President Max and Executive Director Becker Doyle that I was prepared to help to the max, to help make financial decisions for NATA. They never knew whether those color tabs meant anything at all. They were just awestruck by how thoroughly it looked like I had prepared. For the record, they did mean something and provided for me guidance as we talked about the millions of dollars that make up an annual NATA budget. From that point on, in the boardroom, my reputation as being a prepared member was passed on, and it provided for me more and more difficult opportunities to lead, so then when I presented my platform in which I told them I was prepared, they knew I was prepared. To borrow another oft-used phrase, success is when preparation meets opportunity, and I believe that to be true. Success as a volunteer athletic trainer will never come to you unless you're prepared every step of the way, even better prepared than the other volunteers you work with. A final trait of an effective leader is that they are empathetic. Empathy is not a trait that can be faked. You either, as Bill Clinton so famously said, feel their pain or you don't. To be an effective leader, those you lead must believe you feel their pain. In my first year as president, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services made a decision that cost many athletic trainers their jobs. At every stop along the road that year, I was faced with any number of athletic trainers who had lost their job. How catastrophic was that to them and their families? Although I could not personally get them jobs, they had to believe that I understood the devastation this rule change had on them, and to let them know I would do anything in my power to increase job opportunities for athletic trainers. They had to know that I felt their pain. As a leader, you either should feel other people's pain, or you may just not be ready to lead yet. You have to express to them that you understand and care. You have to demonstrate to them that you are willing to try to address what has happened to them, but you must also not promise anything that you do not know you can deliver on. Honesty, I believe, is part of empathy. Care of, but be truthful, and they will understand and trust you. Leadership as a member involves being able to think strategically. A good leader not only recognizes the consequences of a decision, they also can try to see the unintended consequences. This is a goal that you'll never be able to fully meet, as there will never be a way for you to know all of what will happen as a result of a decision. The best leaders, though, see as much as they can see, factor that in, and then make a decision that does the most good and minimizes what can go wrong. I don't play chess, but I believe a good leader thinks 2 moves ahead and anticipates what will happen after the decision, then begins to formulate the next move based on what you predict. A good leader is adaptable. Although this seems easy, it isn't. How many of us, me included, do things because that just is how it's always been done? We're not adaptable to change, fight change, or try to undermine change agents. Each year as president, I had a theme. The NATA president is asked to speak numerous times during their term and in any number of forums. Because of this, when I presented to athletic training audiences, I kept to my theme for that year. One year my theme was Embrace Change. Saying it is easy. Getting where you can live it can be hard. Did you know there was a day when athletic trainers working in clinics were not welcomed as NATA members? In fact, if it wasn't for one person who did what he had to do, and that didn't involve making friends in many ways, only athletic trainers who worked in high schools, colleges, and in the pros would have been members of the NATA today. Fortunately for many of us, there were enough leaders who were adaptable and embraced athletic trainers regardless of where they worked to be members in spite of the ugly defenders of the traditional athletic trainer. You have to be able to welcome diverse opinions and perspectives. The best leaders always listen. No matter how out there an idea or opinion was, I like to hear it. Every opinion comes from one's own life experiences. A good leader seeks out as many opinions as they can find on an issue to factor into their position. Any one decision is a patchwork of many opinions built on previous decisions, taking the issue to a new place. It's not productive to reject an opinion or perspective out of hand. You should welcome any input you can get, because those who differ from you will often outline the negative, unintended consequences you will want to avoid with your decision. Call on as many people as you can. Before I made big decisions, I always ran to those who disagreed with me, not away from them. I fielded as many opinions as I could and tried to walk in their shoes. All of this played a role in any decision I made. One of the qualifications of a good NATA leader is your interest should mesh with your opportunities. If you're interested in third-party reimbursement, a huge issue for 40 years and one we still haven't solved, find a way to get involved. Talk with those who serve regionally or nationally in areas that focus on this issue. Think of ways you can support that effort and be prepared to be a leader when that opportunity presents itself. In my day as president, I had countless members come up to me and ask to get involved. I always tried to make a mental note of where their interests were, and if an opportunity presented itself, I would call on them. Make your interests known to the leaders who are trying to solve that issue or issues. You have to be willing to devote the time required to address your issues when that opportunity comes up. For me, being president was a job that I willingly took on. I knew that if I was going to be a successful leader, I had to be willing to devote the time necessary to make it happen. Because I still had a full-time job with full-time duties that went well beyond 40 hours a week, I had to make time on top of that to be president. To do that then, I went to work before my athletic training room opened at 7 a.m. to answer emails that came in or give thought to issues and what I needed to do to address them. When I went home, often after 6 in the evening, I would write letters, make phone calls, and do other things that I needed to do. I can't kid you, there were times during the day when things were slow that I would do NATA work, and I could do that because I had a great staff there to support me. If you volunteer, Be sure you can give the time that is needed to be a successful and contributing volunteer. If you can't, then respectfully decline the appointment, noting why, and expressing your desire to one day be in a better position to contribute in a big way while you pledge to support that group as an outsider. As an effective leader, you have to be a continuous learner. This goes back to curiosity, I think. You have to always be looking for ways to find out more about any and all the issues as a leader. You have to look in every corner to find out more about what is going on and never think you know it all. That old saying that when learning stops, existence stops applies in athletic training leadership. If you aren't growing, you're dying as a leader. Challenge yourself daily to learn more about the issues that are important to you. Oftentimes, as a young and even as an old leader, demonstrating an open mind and welcoming innovation is hard. We want our way to be the only way, and that just isn't the case. To be an effective leader, you have to demonstrate on a daily basis that you really do have an open mind and that you're willing to listen to what other people have to say. If someone gives you an innovative and new idea, be ready to embrace it and advance it. I like to say I've never had an independent thought, and that's true. Most of the ideas I have come from someone else or were things I saw working that I just co-opted. Finally, an athletic training leader always places the organization before any self-interest. This too is easier said than done, especially with the difficult issues. I've tried to do this by always calling on those the decision would impact most and getting their input. Any knucklehead would know that being president of NATA is a peach of a gig. What any knucklehead doesn't know is that many times decisions the president espouses may in fact act against their own self-interests. If a leader is seen as one who only supports what will enrich them, however you want to define enrich, then the leader will be shunned and any credibility of their leadership will forever be lost. If, on the other hand, those you serve recognize that you are willing to support a position that may run counter to what will benefit you, then you will have a friend for life. Never be guided by what will make you richer or get you that award. If it even happens, you will be left with an empty, guilty feeling for betraying the trust those who called on you to lead held in you. This is a time when it just isn't worth it.